Hello to all of you from the daily map report prepared by the Pioneer team. We continue to bring you the latest developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. In a moment, we will bring you the latest developments related to the Russia-Ukraine war. According to the latest reports, the war between Russia and Ukraine continues in 5 sectors of the front line. There are reports of the violent clashes at many points. On the Zaporizhzhia front line, furious fighting is in full swing in the Robotyne sector. Clashes are also ongoing on the Bakhmut and the Donetsk front line. New developments are also taking place on the Luhansk front line, one of the regions that we have not talked about very often in recent days. It has become quite active in this region. So what is the latest situation in the big war in the Central Europe? Let's take a look at the developments together. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so not to miss the daily map reports prepared by the Pioneer team and our reports on the agenda. You can also support me and my team by commenting on our videos and using the super thanks button below the video. Let's start if you're ready, the Pioneer reports. As it is the tradition, we start our report with the developments in the Robotyne sector. As you know, the Ukrainian army is conducting intensive artillery activity here. You can see the area on the map. According to the latest reports, the Ukrainian army launched an attack on the Robotyne from the west. Before the start of this offensive, Ukrainian artillery units heavily shelled the Russian positions in the Robotyne. Ukrainian infantry units then mobilized and launched an intensive offensive to penetrate the remaining Russian positions in the area. During these attacks, Russian troops suffered heavy losses, although it is reported that the Ukrainian army made partial progress during the attempts. This has not yet been confirmed. The main goal of the Ukrainian army here is to get behind the Russian positions in Kopani. The Ukrainian army is trying to get behind the Russian troops in Kopani and completely encircle Kopani. If the Ukrainian army achieves this goal, the situation in Kopani will change rapidly and the Ukrainian army will be in control. Ukrainian artillery strikes in the region are of a great importance for the realization of the scenario. On the other hand, Ukrainian troops continue their attacks in the direction of Novoprokopivka. The focus of the attack here is to capture Novoprokopivka and to reach new positions in both the direction of Kopani and south of Novoprokopivka. There is no Ukrainian army advance in the region yet. However, we have witnessed as a number of Ukrainian offensive in this area, so the Russian troops in the area have lost a lot of strength. It is also a matter of time before Novoprokopivka also came under the control of the Ukrainian army. Let's talk about artillery attacks in the region. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery units targeted Ukrainian positions in the direction of Plovny, Malyish-Cherbaky, Novodanilovka, Orikhiv, and Robotyne. Ukrainian artillery responded to these attacks by hitting Russian positions in Nestryanka, Kopani, Slatka, Bulka, Ichenko, Novoprokrovka, Novofedorovka, and Novokarlovka. I would like to continue by analyzing the developments in the Wuhldar sector of the Zaporizhzhia front line. The Russian army attempted a counterattack in the Shurmyorsk area. Ukrainian positions in the area managed to repel these attacks of the Russian army. The Ukrainian defense fortifications in the region seems to be quite strong. As you know, the Russian army has been attacking the region since the Ukrainian army captured it. However, so far, the Russian army has not made any gains from these attacks. Let's talk about the artillery attacks in the region. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery units hit Ukrainian positions in Belgradny, Yorkhain, Zaludiniva, Prishchyovtovka, and Wuhldar. In turn, Ukrainian artillery shelled Russian positions in Priodny, Volodin, Zavidnybazhania, Sharmolinka, and Novodonetsk. It is also claimed that the artillery units of the Ukrainian army attacked in the Mariupol region. We continue our daily map report by analyzing the developments on the Donetsk front line. As you know, the mobility here has increased considerably in recent days. Russian troops are trying to advance, especially in the Avdiivka region. Here we can say that the Russian troops are trying to surround Avdiivka. There are also attempts by the Russian troops in the attacks in the direction of Marinka. I want to mention that there is a very strange situation here. I have already mentioned that the forces of the Ukrainian army here are weak compared to the other region. Despite this, the Russian army cannot advance. Ukrainian troops successfully repelled the attacks of the Russian army. Therefore, we can say that the Russian army has lost its offensive power since the beginning of the war. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery struck Ukrainian positions in Elizavetovka, Podeba, Krasnohorivka, and New York. Ukrainian artillery units targeted Russian troops stations in areas of Zaporizhzhia, Donetsk, Opidny, Yasynovtovka, and the village of Krasnohorivka and Novobakhmutivka. Now we continue with the Bakhmut front line. As you know, the Russian army was attacking to capture Klishchivka and Andreevka, which were under the control of the Ukrainian army. Ukrainian defense forces had repelled most of these attacks. According to the latest report, the Ukrainian army went on the offensive in the region. According to the information from local sources, the Ukrainian army has gained new bridgeheads around the railway lines in the direction of Klishchivka and Andreevka. Russian troops in the region completely withdrew to the east of the railway line. Let's continue with the artillery attacks in the region. During the day, Russian artillery shelled Ukrainian positions in Bilahora, Alexandra, Shutlin, Andreevka, Klishchivka, Ivanivsky, Budanovka, Minkovka, Fedorovka, Wemivka, and Spryny. Ukrainian artillery shelled Russian positions in Ozornivka, Kordomoivka, Zelenopi, Bakhmut city center, and Berkhivka. At the beginning of our report, we mentioned that the beginning of the mobilization on the Luhansk front line. When we look at the latest reports, we see that the Russian armed forces have started an offensive in Makiivka region. Intensive shelling of Russian artillery units continue in the region. In addition, the Russian Air Force is also providing large-scale support to this bombardment. However, so far Russian troops have not made any gains in the direction of Makiivka. We said that Russian artillery units are quite active in the region, and artillery units are carrying out intensive attacks. Blogorovka, Nodronovka, Cherny, Notskevka, Novolubkovka, Berestovi, Kopaniansk, and Zapytnoe and Novomailovsk are among these regions targeted by the Russian artillery units. Ukrainian artillery units continue to hit Russian positions from which artillery shelling is taking place in these areas. Here we see that the Russian army is trying to cross the Oskol River. So will the Russian army succeed? Time will show us this. What do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian advance on the Zaporizhzhia front line will continue? Is the Ukrainian army's encirclement strategy successful? How should the successes of the Ukrainian army on the Bakhmut front line be assessed? Will the Russian army succeed in the crossing in the Oskol River? Let me know in the comments. I read and I care about all your comments.